Can't wait for us to do our political talk. Woo, whoopee.
Yes. I need T Rankin. I need my girls in here, Jonay. Send me some clips so I can research.
Not
We might be
research.
the worst political talking podcast.
Send me some feats. What up? Send me some clips to research. Just tag your flip. This is what you should look. Y'all niggas be doing me dirty, gang. This is what you should look at.
How you want us to be your research team?
Cause I just
Well, Flip, let me just tell you right now, just so you understand, Joe Biden sent in his resignation letter.
I saw that.
Okay.
Yes.
And Joe Biden has also now, he has backed up Kamala to be his replacement as the president. And the Democratic Party is working to find a VP for her to run with.
Okay.
That's what's going on. Just like in a very short blurb, right? So that's really what's
But wait,
And an
Jonay.
addendum to that, some people are angling for an open primary, but it's looking like she's going to get enough delegate support such that an open primaries will not be necessary.
Yes.
Wait, say that part again, T. Rankin. I'm sorry.
Yo, Flip, you got to tell us what you feel about it, nigga.
No, I didn't hear I didn't understand what she said. She said something about the parliament. What?
Jonay, please. Maybe it's my accent.
Yeah, no, it's fine. She's pretty much just saying like there won't be a need for a vote essentially, or as like a validating if she could be the actual replacement in a way.
Oh, got it.
It's more political what T. Rankin said, but generally speaking, they're saying that she might be the shoe-in based off of the Democratic Party. Plus,
Y'all think she'll be the shoe-in?
Well, that's what they're leaning towards. She's had a lot of support over the past 24 hours. She did a fundraising Zoom and raised like $1 million or so.
Yeah, she's up to like $1 million.
So
she got 60 million.
There was another organization, but totally she's raised about $1 million from the boat.
All they're doing, Joe, is trying to find a good enough vice president so that he can pretty much run shit, and she can just sit back and just look good.
Exactly.
That's
all I know
man,
is that where we're going should not be unburdened by where we have gone.
That sounds like a saying that you would love. What? She's very fond of saying that, but that sounds like a saying that Joe would.
Y'all saw the compilation where they had about 4 minutes of her just saying it?
Yes. Yes, everywhere she went. That was.
Hey, but so you guys are seeing positive feedback, but I'm seeing a lot of people attacking her.
No, there is. Yeah, of course.
That's your algorithm.
I gotta fix my shit.
People you see, I know. I don't know if you've seen Charleston White. That's terrible
rhetoric. I saw him,
speaking.
but not only that, I'm just seeing a lot of people.
There's a lot of misinformation.
A lot of misinformation. A lot of
because people don't read.
So she was not with Montel Jordan. Montel Jones.
Look, they're calling her the H word. They're saying she imprisoned black men for weed. Untrue.
Wait, hold on.
That's not untrue.
That's not.
It is untrue, Imani. You know what? I'm going to stake. I am going to stake my reputation on you proving.
Keep ranking on, please no.
That she ranking. Wait, let me land.
You like to land a lot.
That she
as a lady who pretty much imprisoned a lot of black men.
But
in San
that's
Francisco
not
true.
Okay.
Let him land his lies.
It's not true.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Let them present their case.
Well, all right. Tell us why it's not true.
Go ahead, yeah, please.
So, if you look at her record, what she focused on was imprisoning sex offenders, ensuring that people who are sex offenders are on the registered list. She never ever imprisoned anybody for the simple possession of marijuana, right? Never. And that's been the charge against her since. And remember, she was the AG, not the governor, not any of that. She was the AG. Her cause was
her office didn't even handle those cases.
Do you understand? So there's been this kind of like deliberate campaign
rhetoric
to paint her black. And the point is because people don't read, they will just see a tweet and run with it. Nobody who was accused of over imprisoning black men has ever brought any evidence to the table to back that assertion. What is public, however, is how many people she imprisoned and the crimes for which they were imprisoned for. That is public. You can read it up yourself. On the other side of the debate, no evidence has been tendered. So it's kind of troubling how this thing has legs and has been going on and on and on. But I will enjoin you to please read about her yourself and make up your mind that way.
I just pinned the perfect video that actually explains it with facts, and you can take a look. It's not long, but yeah.
It's not there. It's not there yet.
Flip just want to know if she was at the Diddy parties or not.
How do you put something in the
Hey, hold on.
When you are on the tweet, the arrow that's all the way to the right, that's like with the little thing underneath it pointing up. Yeah,
okay,
you tap that.
Real quick,
it's not a tweet, but okay.
There's an article that the New York Times magazine's put out about her. Kamala Harris, mass incarceration, and me. I'm gonna read that, and I'm gonna get my receipts, but it's not looking too good. Some people.
I'm also gonna read something else about after that, Flip. So go ahead, please.
No. Hold on, let me read it first. Get your shit.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna go after you.
I hate when niggas take ahead. I don't have. I just saw the title, nigga. Stop putting me on the spot like that.
Open the link and read it, nigga.
I'm not reading out loud, nigga. With these niggas, fuck them niggas.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Imani, then.
Queens, send it to me, Flip. I'll read it.
Yeah, send it to Joe Day.
But I do think what Feats put in the link, it may not necessarily be an article, but I do think it's lining up what T. Rankin is just saying, which I think is good. But I think E, you said you want to say something. I don't know.
I mean, I just with those sources, I want to see. Wait, let me see what she said. Boom, boom.
It's in the jumbo.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is just.
Are we gonna have a spaces debate?
No. I mean, we don't have to do that because that's gonna be boring.
No, I want to have one.
47.
Oh my God!
Because you can pause the video on certain. You can pause the video on certain. Fact number 1: Kamala never prosecuted cases for marijuana possession. It's moving. More serious cases were pleaded down to avoid felony charges. Convictions were often erased through her back on track program.
So, it's the second slide piece. It said 45 people.
And then, that's the one I'm going to next.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, 45 people in her 7 years as a DA went to state prison for non-possession marijuana-related cases, 67% less than her predecessor.
Okay.
They also claim. Oh yeah, the other shit is kind of.
My bad. I would like to say that Feats, you and T. Rankin are correct about something you guys said. No, she did not fight to keep Black people in prison. You're absolutely right. But she did fight to keep non-violent prisoners locked up. In 2011, she went with tried to go against the Supreme Court ruling. And typically, if you look at San Francisco and the non-violent prisoners, they usually reflect Black men. So I get what you guys are saying. But if you start talking to that narrative, then yes, she 100% did keep niggas locked up.
Oh shit!
Before you say that,
see what happened when you start running? You're smarter.
So when you say that, what were the line when you say non-violent offenses? Can you run down a list of what they claimed those non-violent offenses were?
Can I get some? Yeah, let me get some time.
Give him some more time.
I'm pretty sure when you speak to non-violent offenses, it's typically I don't want to assume, but it usually is drugs. Usually
not always.
I'm not always. That's why I said I don't want to solely assume.
Take your time, E. They trying to mark Lamont.
No, I'm not.
Shit.
I think to what T. Rankin was talking about, those types of crimes, depending on the situation, can be considered non-violent offenses if it doesn't have to do with weapons or actual forms of violence. It could be something like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak to it. I'm just saying we have to validate what
she's in the ANOM, so I mean.
Who's in the ANOM?
No, and also
Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Oh,
Kamala,
shit.
and also
start saying her name right.
We failed the test.
And also, you have to understand that she's an AG. She's a woman in a starkly liberal state. You have to balance things, right? So the biggest charge against women is that they're soft on crime, too liberal, etc., etc. If you have a long political career ahead of you, you have to do a lot of balancing act. She's fighting the police union. She's also trying to enact a lot of liberal policies, which is ensuring that people who have been convicted of crimes actually get opportunities to get new jobs. She's ensuring that marijuana convictions don't clog up the prison system. And she's also fighting the Supreme Court that says release all non-violent criminals, which can involve sexual assault, people that belong on the register, etc., etc. So non-violent is very all-encompassing. You have to sort of break it down. But I also think if we have to be mindful of the propaganda that has been done against this woman since she stepped up to take up for after Senator Barbara Booker, I think her name was. As soon as she put her hat in the ring, the propaganda against her went into overdrive. And it's what people are repeating till today because they bank on the fact that her base will not read the facts. And, honestly, people have to try to not prove those people right. You have to read and decide for yourself. It's very important.
T. Rankin, I agree with you, but also let's just be honest. If by you doing your job well means that a majority of nonviolent Black men could not come home, I think the statement of you keeping niggas locked up is valid. I'm not saying she was going against her job title, but yeah, she's an attorney general, and with some of that fucking job, you're gonna end up doing some bullshit.
Well, I have a question. Have all of this pushback, not you specifically, E, but anyone that it applies to, with the pushback that we're having with her in her former position, not her current position, because we also know that people's positioning and how they view the world and their lens can change and improve. Did we do all of that when it came to Biden and his connection to the crime bill?
Yes, I 100%
We still voted
did.
for him.
I never voted for Biden. That's an assumption.
Okay.
I never voted for Biden.
I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying in general, no one during his political prowess, essentially, I would say a lot of that stuff was looked at with nuance. And I just feel like, why can't her experience be looked at through the same nuance we look at through with Biden?
So Joné, I think what happens is this: when they attach Joe Biden to Barack Obama, a man that I don't want to sound fucked up, but a lot of people had no clue about Obama. They just saw him as a Black man, and we were just so happy to have a Black nominee that no matter what he said, a lot of people were just going to run with him. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a fact for most people who don't follow politics. It's a Black man up there. We want to support him. Cool. So when you immediately attach Joe Biden to that man, you just assume that he's just a solid nigga. So you don't go ahead and
whose fault is that?
No, you're right. You're right. That is the fault of the people who didn't do the research. But
Imani,
now when you start finding these
Imani, listen to this, right?
T. Rankin, you have to let me. Can I finish?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now when you have these situations where people are blindly just going into voting just for the outlook of things, the same thing with Kamala Harris, because a lot of people didn't really do research on her until she got into office. So now when you go ahead and do the research, it's okay to now say, okay, I didn't know these things, but here I know it now, and now let me speak to it. But for the most part, a lot of people don't do the research on these candidates. They just decide whether they like them or not. And then once they get into office and they either show improve or they don't show improve, then you start trying to look into their history. A lot of people had no clue that Joe Biden was attached to that crime bill. That went and voted for Obama. They didn't know.
But I also feel like, so for example, I think it depends on I do think maybe your argument or just anyone's argument is if she's the leader, because her as the attorney general, she doesn't see every case, she doesn't see everything. And sometimes it has to do with those that are leading under her, following or doing things under her leadership. So is that what you're referencing? Because I think what you're talking about is during like the actual 2011 timeframe, she was the attorney general. So if there are certain cases or certain things that seem to be pushed against, that could have been things that were supported by maybe the DA, and she was the attorney general at the time, but it doesn't mean that she had hands-on approach with it. It could have been things that were happening under her leadership, and they want to now that the time has passed, reframe it and make it seem as if she did it herself. And
you're absolutely right, Joné. Her leadership, she led her team down a path or allowed her team to take a path that now makes her today look away, not her team. It makes her look away. Just like with anybody, if Joe moves a certain way or he puts people in position to represent him as a company, we don't sit back and say everybody else behind the company is at fault. We say Joe. So that's all it is. I'm not saying that. She did her job. She did the job the way she needed to do the job and get it done. And now there's repercussions of that. And this is one of the repercussions. You kept a lot of Black men imprisoned And not just saying you solely did it just to keep black men in there, but your decision and your team's decision had a negative effect on non-violent crimes that black men committed at that time period. And that's it.
My thing is, when we
do you
highlight and
notice the
focus on
difference?
this, it's like, then what? So we highlight and then focusing on this one thing that may be about her to what? Vote for Trump, to like be like, oh well, Trump ain't bad because she did this, or like, I guess what's the end goal? What is the angle? What is the point? Like,
I don't think it's an end goal, because I don't care about either sides. I'm just saying, like, when it now comes to a point where this is the representation for the party, this is going to be highlighted by the other party, the same way how when Trump became the nominee, they highlighted all the negative shit about him. Now this is just.
But do y'all notice the difference? Do y'all notice the difference in the warring political narratives? On one end, you'll say somebody was tough on crime, but then as soon as you get on office, they're gonna be saying they're weak on crime. Like the Democrats are weak on crime.
Sorry to interrupt y'all. I hope everybody
important,
has a good day.
kind of
My
apply
pilots
some
is ready to
nuance to
go,
this,
so I'm
right?
gonna head out. Have a blessed one, y'all.
Have a good one.
But it's not just that Kamala Harris was tough on crime in quotes. There was also a lot of nuance to her approach, right? So, for example, for the 3-strike law, she had a position where she made sure that in order to apply a 3rd strike, the felony in question had to be a serious or violent crime. So it's not just a case of, as is quite famous, of a guy stealing pizza and being sentenced to 25 years to life in jail for his 3rd crime being stealing pizza. It had to be serious or violent. She implemented that. So, I mean, I'm not American. I'm just very interested in American political affairs, right? But I think it's kind of hard that she's being judged so harshly, where the quote unquote non-black people are given a free pass to do whatever.
T. Rankin, I agree with you, but I think that's just how politics in America run. We don't go based off of the facts of how things actually turned out. We go off of how shit looked. That's just what it is. Like, I'm not speaking to whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, in this country, when it comes time to vote, typically we're not voting. Well, okay, that's a lie. I won't say that. Typically, we are pushed through propaganda to lead us to a certain vote. And it's very effective. So yes, Kamala might not actually be responsible for keeping black men in jail, but the narrative that some of the choices she made led to that leads to another party's credence. Same way how they do it on the other side. I just think that the game out here is just played differently, that, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. That's all.
Yeah, but if you know better, then
right, that's what I'm saying. If you know,
but
like,
we
some of
don't
that
know better, because look who.
or like you literally started by saying this is what she did, this is what you know. You're ready to bet all this shit on that's what she did, and it took 5 minutes for us to say, like, well, hold on, that's not what she did. And now it's a whole different tune that's being sung at the same time.
No feats. That is what she did in her time in office. Whether it was intentional or not, what she chose to do did lead to a lot of black men who were nonviolent offenders not coming home. That's not a question. It is.
Right,
It doesn't mean that she intentionally went in there saying, yo, keep these black people locked up.
Right.
But if you can take that narrative and spin it in that way, then that's what it is.
Right, but I want to say this. I do think
to be there, they wouldn't even be in that fucking position.
Right, but it's also a difference in saying what someone enacted with that intentionality and something that happened as a downstream effect. I think what we're talking about is something that may have had a downstream effect, and we're taking a downstream effect and applying it to her intentionality for the thing itself. And I
that's fair. That's
you
fair.
get what I'm saying? And I think
again, it started with she did, Kamala did, and she did not.
Right.
No, and that's 100% fair.
Yeah, and I think Eve, to your point, which is a valid point, is that okay, this may have been her intentionality to be quote unquote tough on crime for these particular offenses that she had in mind, but in all actuality, it impacted hundreds of black men. I do think that if that's a part of the conversation, that's a piece. But what people do to spin narratives and create rhetoric is they take the result and apply it to her intention, and then try to create a view of who she is as a politician. And I think then that what ends up doing is now we have the talking points for the opposing party, because they can use those hot topics of she hates black people, or she or she tried to intentionally incarcerate black men. That's not true. Black men were incarcerated. just like white men were incarcerated and Hispanic men were incarcerated for those crimes. But I do think as a Black person, we just expect something different, when in our actuality, we're talking politics. And I get your point, and I understand that you're saying that was a symptom of what happened, but I don't think that was the cause. That wasn't the reason or the intention. And I think more people are trying to argue the intention without listening to, we were impacted.
Well, I mean, if we being honest, I don't trust any of the intentions of any politician. Like, I just don't. Like, I just know the game is just ran a certain way where they understand someone's going to get screwed and they don't have a problem sleeping at night when that person is screwed. So I just don't fuck with any of it. I just know that when it comes to election time, people rarely vote based off of what they know, and they vote based off of what they're told. And that's just how the game is ran. So, but everyone vote for who you want to vote for and enjoy it.
I just hope everybody votes. That's the biggest thing for me. But that's neither here nor there. Whatever people see, this is the thing I was saying yesterday. I had I think when everything happened, I kind of had a quick space, and I just strongly feel everybody has rights to feel how they want.
You were stressed out in that
Man,
space too.
Joe,
Hey, quick question: the pussies aren't drying up because we're having this conversation, is it?
No, they getting
We're the
wetter.
pussies.
Yeah, but it's
Yo,
okay.
that's
Imani, we
crazy.
have the pussies and we're engaging you. So I mean,
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Oh
guys.
my
It's a
God.
joke.
Well, let me just say this. Joe is hilarious. So now I know you was in the ANOS. I was I didn't even know what to say, because to see our acting president give a 2-week notice, I'm sitting there like, yeah, this is crazy.
And it's serious too, because his brother said that it was.
Yeah, they said they have
his
time
health.
left. I'm like, maybe he might really be.
Yeah, they said it's majorly due to his health. He been trying to hold strong these last couple weeks, but that debate,
They was gonna kill that
debate,
man.
he really showed like, they got to pull him out.
No, I mean, don't y'all think it's kind of fucked up on the Democrat? They was gonna do whatever, knowing this man ready to die, knowing
Weekend
his
at
health was
Bernie's.
playing, just to throw him back in office.
Weekend at Bernie's, bro. They gonna drag him out.
Was he ready to die, Michael, or was he trying
No, like he would have died during this term. I think he can get at least like 8 more years if he not the
8
president.
more
But if he
years?
is the president, he would have died in 3. It's too stressful. We know this shit is too stressful.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, we know that, but
Project 25 is scary, and I wish more people were afraid of Project 25, right? Like, if you look at the way if you look at the way the Supreme Court business is played out, you have the Heritage Foundation training college graduates right now on the path to becoming justices and judges all across the strata of the courts. This thing is scary because you have people interpreting the Constitution on the face of it without any recourse to nuance or the present day. This means fewer rights for women, fewer rights for minorities. Like, it's really scary. And for me as a non-American, I actually feel the results of these things because America is so involved all over the world. How your country moves impacts how other countries move, right? So as your country gets more conservative, as things happen, like January 6th, for example, presidents and other authoritarian regimes are using that to justify certain things. So like it's really scary for me reading what Project 25 entails. I don't know.
Yeah, what I would like to say is, because I know everybody's not going to be in full agreement of either side, but one thing I do feel, and I mean, I know you mentioned this, I've heard several people mention this, like even Joe's best friend, she mentioned it about not voting. I just, that scares me, because the non-voting and the kind of not choosing anything really does kind of stifles the progress in either direction.
Janae, can I just say this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think me voting today this election, I don't think me voting will make any difference, because I already feel like Trump is already in office.
Now imagine a million people. Now imagine a million
Are you
people
guys
thinking
gonna
the
let me?
same.
Are you guys gonna let me land my plane?
Yeah.
You crashed
No,
the plane.
nigga, no. Let me land my plane.
Let him finish. He's not the first person I've heard say this.
Hey, listen.
I want him to finish.
The election has already been decided. I want y'all. I get that we feel like we in the game, but we're not in the game. So it's cool. Like, yes, go vote. Everybody that wants to vote, everybody that has the ability to go vote and do so and choose who you want to choose. But this election is already done. This election, I'm not talking about anyone before. I'm not talking about anything else. It's done already. I know we all know that, but because we just want to believe in democracy and we want to believe in our freedom, the freedoms that we have, we want to be a part, like we want to participate. But I don't want to participate in some shit that I already know is signed, sealed, and delivered, which is why.
So your message is everybody that can vote, go vote, but it's decided.
My message is, if you think that you are going to go ahead and make a change with your vote and go do so, please do so. I don't believe my vote is going to do so because I believe this is something deeper, this election, than what we can control.
E-Man, can I ask you a question?
So what do you, wait, hold up for a minute, Joe. So what do you think Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror was about? Like, you're a big Mike fan, right?
I know Mike didn't write it. So what does that mean?
Oh,
well, he sung it and performed it. He was trying to make a change.
Oh,
he was trying to be the face.
And you was in the video as a little kid hugging on his leg.
So, E, can I ask you, because Joe playing? Joe, E, do you believe we're in a democracy?
No.
What do you believe that we're in?
Does everybody know what the Electoral College is?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, Amani, if you know what it is, then you know that you're right. We don't decide who the president is.
Grandpa Rick,
that is not why I brought you up.
I mean, we should step on Imani if he's right. The Electoral College is who decides who's the president. Accordingly, our vote is just a participation trophy.
Do you guys remember the election with Al Gore and George Bush and how that turned out?
Yep. And it happened again with Hillary Clinton. We get the popular vote. A lot of times, our popular vote does not decide who is going to be the president. It's the electoral vote. That's why on election night, you see both votes on the screen, and they keep talking about the electors, the electors, the electors. Those electors are the ones who are actually deciding to vote. So Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016. So Imani Sport, Al Gore won it in 2000. And guess what? The Electoral College did not agree with the popular vote. And accordingly, who they chose to be president became the fucking president. And this is the type of basic level politics we don't have a good grasp on. So we keep repeating rhetoric.
It's not direct.
Can I back Grandpa with something too? Do you guys remember exactly the events that happened after Al Gore was cheated out of his win and they put Bush into office and certain things were allowed to happen as far as certain laws?
Can you refresh? Because a lot of people probably.
9/11 was the biggest event, which at that point then led to the laws being changed as far as just our God-given, well, not God-given, but our rights as far as just privacy and homeland security.
And so when you're talking about, even just for people that don't know, when you're talking about cheating, you're talking about the ballots in Florida, right?
Yes. Okay. When it came down to them having to recount.
Do a recount in
Bush,
Florida.
Al Gore was before September 11th.
Yeah, it was, but he's talking about the
he's not saying it wasn't.
That's what I'm like. I don't know what Michael's talking about. I think what E-Man is saying is he's saying these are the results of a election that seemed to have been rigged or maybe some conspiracy. Is the recount in Florida in what year was that? 2000 and 2000, right? So I just want to make sure your talking points, everybody's in the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to go into a whole diatribe of breaking down every single thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you can do enough research on your own to find out. I feel that there are presidents at a certain point in history that are put in place to align with what this country's agenda is, the best representation of what that is moving forward. And I think that's already picked and selected before we even get to the point of putting in a ballot. Like Grandpa Rick said.
And to that point, is the Electoral College is what you need to be researching, specifically the Electoral College. So if you don't want to read about it, type it in YouTube. They got plenty 8-minute videos that's going to explain it to you and explain it to you and explain it to you. And I think people are still confused because we keep getting told to vote. So what they're seeing, and it doesn't compute with what they're being told. But I'm telling you, the Electoral College is who chooses the president.
And find out how many actual the number of points you get for each state.
Electors.
The electors you get for each
and
state.
Then pause. You need to look up who decides who those electors are, because it's not us. We don't vote the electors in.
So, Grandpa Rick and Imani's message is we shouldn't vote.
It really, I feel like that's an overstated, oh, we should vote. That's not even, until we reform the Electoral College, at the presidential level, that's not the emphasis. At the local level, absolutely. Your vote directly counts for your local governors, senators, representatives, your mayors, your council. So yes, you can go vote at the local level.
But
You know what's hilarious? This is the funny
But the
part. Hold
vote in
on. This
your
is the funny
town,
part.
but the vote in your town determines.
Michael,
Right.
do you even know
what.
the swing states that literally are?
I live in a
No,
swing state.
Amani,
I
I
live in
want them all
Virginia.
to articulate
I
a
live in
point
a
because they
purple
keep
state.
stumbling all over
Go
something,
ahead.
and I don't know
Go
where
ahead.
it's
Go ahead.
going. So go ahead.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Your electoral college.
I hate when
You're
Amani do
voting
this
towards the
system, some
electoral
feisty
college, right? Like you're voting your local town. If you're in a swing state,
No,
it definitely matters.
it's nothing to do with that.
No.
What are you?
Well,
repeat what you just asked.
Can I jump? I don't know.
Wait, was that Micah? Because I
Yeah.
can't hear
Well,
him.
I do want to say I get what Grandpa Rick is saying, but I do think it's based off of maybe personal perspective. When you vote in local elections, that is what affects how you live, right? But when you're
I just
not,
said that.
I know. I'm just saying, just from my perspective. But I also am in vehement disagreement to not vote for the presidential election because that affects how our world then becomes. Because if we're talking local, and then get mad about who's sitting in the Senate and the House of Representatives, then what are we talking about? Because we
that's what your local election is for, to decide who's in the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's what it's for.
But I'm talking.
Jonay, do you know what the Electoral College is?
Don't do that with me because I'm not the one for that.
I'm asking you a
can do
direct
that
question.
to someone else.
You can say yes or no. It's okay if you know.
I don't
It's okay
have to
if
say
no.
yes or no with you. You don't qualify me. What I'm telling you is that there are also positions of power within the okay, for when we're talking about the different branches of government, they all matter. Correct. So what I'm saying is I'm not saying anything about the local election not having an impact. I'm saying that affects the way that we live. What I am saying is, do you think that Trump had no effect on the Senate nor the House of Representatives, Grandpa Rick?
He did. We didn't choose Trump. That's what I'm trying to communicate to you. And maybe that's why I asked you, do you know what the Electoral College is? When we voted, the popular vote voted for Clinton. We did not put Trump in office. The Electoral College did.
Okay.
I guess this is what's like not clicking. The Electoral College is who decided to put Trump in office. Go Google it.
I don't have
popular
to Google
vote. That is the
anything. Like,
citizen's
I
vote.
don't understand.
We voted for Clinton. She won the popular vote.
Grandpa Rick, can I ask you
Electoral
something?
College
What is the alternative? What is the alternative
that became
to
the
you?
president.
Grandpa Rick, what is the alternative?
What's the alternative to what?
Yeah.
Well, I've actually been campaigning for election reform for a long time to abolish the Electoral College. I actually did a whole space. I guess Michael was the only one that showed up in the ANOS, and I guess he didn't retain anything. But I did a whole space to talk about how
I know a little bit more. Read above. Just read above. Read above.
Well, let's read what you have.
Because you're telling a blanket group of people from all over that their vote doesn't matter. That's not the case.
I don't think that's the message, Micah. The message is
that's an oversimplification of what I said. I said the Electoral College.
Hold on, Grandpa, hold on, because you be coming in and just be going crazy on niggas.
Yeah, she's like evil. She ranking.
Yeah, but I think what she's saying, if we really want, why is it that we can't go for popular vote? Think about it. If the matter of the situation is, we all as Americans in America have a candidate who receives the popular vote, why are they the ones not in office? It's already set up to be rigged. So at this point, you're asking me to play a game that's already rigged. Like, why do I want to continue to play that? So at this point, I could either spread the message of, yo, we need to have some level of reform so that we can actually make this a fair game, or you just continue to play a fucking unfair game.
Well,
I choose to not do that this year.
I agree.
Nobody not gonna check that.
This shit like a loop.
And this is the problem that I have with certain rhetoric, is that if you don't believe in it, please be quiet. Because I think your voice in a space that you don't support, then unless you're here to educate, because if you're not here to educate, then all you're here to do is
Jonay, that's
demean
not
people.
fair. Jonay,
Hear what I'm saying, because
no.
if it's talking about the conspiracy theory of America and talking about a lot of the things that are set up, then at the end of the day, where are we going? Because I get that everybody wants to do this reform. And Grandpa Rick, you and I both know, we were just in the space the other day. You know what you're talking about is nowhere near going.
Jonay,
That's nowhere near in the near future.
Jonay, I gotta shut you down.
How we vote.
Jonay, I have to
reform,
shut you. Jonay, I have to shut you down. Wait, hold on, please. I have to shut you down. The only reason why we're at this conversation is because you started the conversation by mentioning, why do people like me and others who have mentioned it choose to speak to not wanting to vote? I never wanted to speak about this. I didn't want people.
I'm not even really highlighting your point. And what I'm saying is at the end of the day, when we're talking about, that is the question, but it also had nuance prior to that, which is why I asked the question in itself. Is that if there is
the Kamala joint? That's
exactly.
Right. Exactly.
But it's okay. So when we're talking about voting versus non-voting, and what I was saying is having a neutral voice versus picking either side. I was just saying, if you are in a space where you do not believe in this level of voting at this time, we're talking about the presidential election, what is the benefit of telling people that are on the fence and trying to figure out who to vote for, and they do believe in the system and the Electoral College, or whatever it is that we would like to say, what is the benefit of trying to sway them to not vote at all?
Because I do think
what is the benefit?
Can let me speak to it. The benefit is, in any revolution, you have to speak to the truth to start swaying minds to think differently. So if you guys really do believe we have that much power in this country, and you do believe that we can make change, the only way we can make change is by knowing the truth. So more people need to speak to the truth of how this country is ran, instead of just staying to themselves, or we're just going to keep playing the same shit.
No, I think you were right when you said we need reform.
Yeah, I'm going outside to smoke if anybody want to come.
Not right when you said we couldn't be able to attain it.
This is when that smoke break come in handy.
Micah, I want to address what you put in the jumbo, because you did put in there about the 29 states that legally required their electors to vote with the popular vote. I just want you to know that it's not enforced, and there's a such thing called a faithless voter. Have you heard of that? That's somebody who directly, and they're not punished for when they vote against their popular party. So on paper, yes, some 29 of the 50 states do require their electors to vote with the popular vote, but they are not punished when they don't. So it's not a non-enforced law. The main reason I really came up here is because I've been really, if I could just get 2 seconds to say why I came up here, it's just to say that I'm a little disappointed at us regurgitating these same talking points from 20 years ago. All this vote or die not rhetoric, or the Democrats are better than the other party rhetoric, when we're living through it and we see that they're in. What the only other thing I want to say is just about this newfound support for the Democratic Party now that Kamala is the presidential candidate, or pending potential. She's likely to get it, right? The big thing is that she did try to run in 2020. I guess everybody forgot about that. And the reason she didn't get it was for the critique she's getting now. So these are not new critiques. She does have a so-so record as an attorney general. I think it's overstated how many Black men she, put into jail. But at the same time, she is deserving of criticism for some of the choices she's made. She has argued to keep people she known was innocent in jail. That's problematic. She did appeal when they repealed the death penalty. She did fight to keep it in place and appeal that decision. So she's done some problematic things that she should have to stand on in her record. The big thing I'm mainly upset about is that we keep falling for the same trap. I've had my page private now, but racial showcasing is a thing. I think they really kind of orchestrated this to try to rejuvenate people. They knew we weren't invested in Biden. We don't like him. If Kamala has a so-so record, his record is atrocious. Between the racial jungle and that crime bill and some of the other decisions he made, he flat out lied about getting rid of student loans. He's lied about several things since he's been in office and been trying to promote those things as if he hasn't been president for the last 4 years. My main thing is we cannot fall for the okie doke every fucking time. Just because they put a Black face on it, this lady been the vice president for the last 4 years. If she wasn't doing much then, the likelihood that it's going to change in the future. And Joe, I have a whole other side of this that I'm not going to bring up because I'm mindful of your platform and the size of your voice. What I am going to say is that Black people, Just every time they put a Black presenting biracial in your face, that does not mean you automatically have to throw your political support behind it. This woman has openly stated she's not going to do anything specifically for Black people. She comes from a party, they push the Dreamers Bill, they push that anti-hate bill in record numbers. They're letting in immigrants right now. So they come from a party where they specifically do things for minorities, and only Black people have to deal with trickle-down politics. That's not acceptable. I don't care if it's coming from a Black presenting biracial, a white one. I don't care who it comes from. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, before Joe, I mean, what I don't like, when we have political conversations, and I'll say this very specifically towards you, Grandpa Rick, because you use terms like disappointment and things like that. I think it depends on the lens that you hear the conversation through and what you're able to receive from what's being said. I'm never supporting Kamala because she's Black and a Black woman only. That wasn't what I said. I never said it at all. What I said in my highlighting of certain things is talk facts. So if we're going to be disapproving of her, talk facts of why we're disapproving. And what was happening is it was a shutting down of rhetoric and not facts. Now you're up here bringing up facts based off of your research, and I think that's commendable and that's necessary. My larger point is not a vote or die point, just to say it because it's been something that's been pumped and programmed. What I am saying is action is necessary. So if what we're talking about is neutrality because we don't believe in either party, the reality is that you are in a position to choose. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying if you want to vote Trump and you believe in the Trump politics and what he has, then do that. But also don't find ways to bring about doubt in the ideals of people that are subscribed to it, and saying that you have this level of disappointment as if you're speaking from this higher entity. I don't believe that. I don't even think an agreement.
That's projection.
Both of y'all.
It's the truth.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna mute y'all. Those were two great points from both of you. As much as I hate all this political hootenanny, I will allow it because y'all are getting somewhere. But Jonay, I would like you to speak to Grandpa Rick's point. You and T. Rankin did a great job with Imani of disproving some of the misinformation, but why, instead of disproving information, what is it about her that garners your support? I think that's what I got from that. I unmuted the thing.
Oh, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I am really just anti-Trump. And it has nothing to do with being a Democrat or a Republican. That I'm just anti the other option. So for me, I understand where we are as a country. I'm just not going to put support behind someone that speaks verbal rhetoric that is disapproving and or anti the people that look like me. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do that. Now, what y'all say from it, what judgments you want to cast, that's on you. And that's something that you can live with, not me, because I'm completely fine in what I'm feeling. Now, if there was other options, if there were additional resources, of course, I would have loved a better option or something that could have been presented to us that people would feel more comfortable with. But and honestly, it really wasn't even me. It was really Feats and T. Rankin that were giving more supporting pushback. I was just more so seeing what T. Rankin was saying and agreeing with some of the points that if we're going to be speaking about something that Kamala has done, make sure it is founded on actual facts. That's really all I was arguing. But it was more so Feats and T. Rankin.
Well, T. Rankin has her hand raised, so please.
From my perspective as a non-American, like I've said, when you guys
she's talking, I can't hear her.
Yeah, she's talking.
Yeah, if you guys have a cold,
T. Rankin, go down and come back up.
Okay.
I don't want to do it because I'm gonna remove you by mistake or something. Hold up, remove from speakers.
No.
That's not the one.
Oh yeah.
No,
remove from speakers.
It says remove from speakers. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Back
Yo.
All right, T. Rankin, you back?
Yes, thank you, Joe. The reason I support Kamala Harris is, firstly, I think she's overqualified for the job. If we're going by the metrics of the men who have inhabited the office in recent years. Secondly, I feel like as a non-American and knowing how American policies and American facts affect the rest of the world, I think it's very important from a jurisprudence perspective to have judges and justices who actually interpret the law, your constitution, that's the guide and the foundation for so many constitutions around the world, because I think the American democracy, just looking at it in and of itself, right, it's probably the greatest document that was ever written, the American Constitution, that is, right? Just looking at it in and of itself. I know there are parts of it that are unpalatable, but in terms of how a government should function, it's the greatest document ever written, right? And I would like to see justices that do justice to that document, right? Reading it in terms of what the framers intended. When the framers were framing the Constitution, there was slavery. Black people didn't constitute a whole human, right? They were 3/5 of human at that time. So looking at people who interpret the Constitution from that lens, occupying the highest probably courts in the world, the courts that most courts look up to in the world, is very troubling for me. And I've seen that there is a deliberate attempt to train minds to occupy that seat, a lifetime seat, for example, that look at the law in a way that is detrimental to Black Americans, to gay Americans, to Americans who want safer public spaces, to Americans who want more investment in public spaces as opposed to in auto vehicles, to Americans who care about global warming, for example, and the way women's rights, women's reproductive rights are wielded is very disturbing for me, because I have an American agency directly in my country telling women not to consider abortion, even when they are dirt poor. So these are the reasons that I prefer the Democratic Party. I support Kamala Harris because I believe that she's been quite deliberate in her career in doing things that will help. Of course, some things she's done is also hindered, but when I compare her to some of the people that have occupied this office, for me, she's an ideal candidate. And again, I beg your.
Okay.
Yo,
Okay.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to step in or jump in because it's a couple of different points. So if you're really looking at the policies, people don't really care about the candidates. And I don't want to go against Kamala Harris. I don't think she's the most qualified or whatever the case may be, because we've seen qualified people. We saw Andrew Yang, who had universal basic income. We saw Vivek Ramaswamy, who was giving us a lot of different facts in the space. Even Tulsi Gabbard, who served in the country, like it's people who served in the military that's not getting no respect. Now, it's just optics, Brody got shot in the air. They're going to run with that narrative. Kamala Harris looking goofy outside dancing. They're going to run with that narrative. Joe Biden can't even walk straight without falling. They're going to run with that narrative. So it's really about these narratives out here. And I don't want to say vote or not vote, because I don't think that's the right message, but just do your research, because the candidates are out here. It's just who they going to put in your face this day.
Oh, we about to have 3 months of complete and utter bullshit. I see it coming already, boy.
You're not wrong.
Nah,
I
it's a mess.
just want to clarify that I never said for anybody not to vote. That was Imani's point. I simply said that he was correct in his assertion that our votes don't matter because the Electoral College, that's at the presidential level. Now, if you're voting for your local elections, you're already going to be there. What is it going to hurt you to check a box? I don't think it's inconsequential. If you're asking me, my opinion on whether you vote at the federal level is inconsequential. It doesn't change the fact that the Electoral College exists. It doesn't change the fact that their votes are the one that is going to choose the president. I think I'm more so, and this goes back to my point, because I just heard somebody say people care about the policies, and I think that nothing could be further from the truth. I think most of these people don't even know what political policies, and to be clear, because they have us in a duopoly where it's an either or, people don't even think about, they don't have to run on policies. They can just run off, I'm not Trump. That is very problematic. They got us by the gun as long as we keep letting them do that, because they can pass and get off anything we don't agree with. Prime example, they have a lot of immigration stuff going on right now that even as left wing, even if you're left leaning politically, you might not agree with some of these political, these immigration projects they have going on in New York and Chicago. That's democratically funded. Right now, if you live in the greater Atlanta area, you know about Cop City, we have a Democratic mayor. So the Democrats are able to get a lot of shit off, and we can't do shit about it because they can get us by the gun and say, oh, well, what would you rather have, Trump? You want to be under a dictatorship? You want to be under this or that? That is why it needs to, and that's my argument, is our energy needs to stop going to let's just participate in the system to let's reform the system, because it is broken. We don't want to keep having to choose between bad and evil. Okay, just because evil is evil, that don't mean bad is worthy of our support. If anything, we should put all our time and energy trying to prevent us from having to choose between the two, because we're not getting anywhere. The policies we truly want, let's say we want a fucking 35-hour week, or we want a 4-hour work week, we want more paid time off for pregnancies and stuff like that. We're not going to get it because they don't even have to run on policies, because all they're going to do is say, oh, would you rather have this evil person here? Would you rather have Trump in office? Do you want... And it has to come to an end. So I feel like that's why I'm so much more interested in having reform rhetoric, because that's where our energy needs to be. But what's going to happen now that they got a Black presenting biracial as the forefront, Black people are going to be rejuvenated. I've already seen it. I'm not speaking. If everybody on the stage is not voting for her because she's Black, fine. I'm not going to say you are. I've already seen the rhetoric of people saying, oh, the AKAs, the Deltas, y'all got to start campaigning. Oh, Black men, y'all got to shut that rhetoric up. Who cares if she's even all the way Black anymore? Stop talking about her political record. Stop. And that's why it's problematic. Because
can I just
do we call it problematic when Trump do
no,
it?
it's problematic all the way around, and that's why. But
Okay,
that's why I said this is a propaganda race. It's usually a propaganda race. Who can put out
a meal off the beef?
Who can go ahead and spool out the best propaganda to sway whatever people they need to sway? That's what this is, and that's what it's always been. So yes, if we're gonna now, when we get to a space where people are saying, okay, cool, you don't believe in this candidate and you don't believe in this candidate, what do you want to push? If people are saying, I want to push reform, or I want to push people to wake up and understand what type of country we work in and how the political system really runs, then I'd rather spread that message than say to someone, well, you got to pick somebody. Like, I just don't like that message of saying, well, we only have two choices, so pick. No, if I don't like both choices, I'm just not going to pick. And the good thing about having a right to do something, you have a right to voice it, and you also have a right to withhold it.
Why not do both? Why not, because the decision has to kind of be made now.
Because
let me finish, because you just finished. So
you cut me off as I was talking. But go ahead.
Go ahead, y'all go ahead. Y'all been fucking. Go ahead.
No, I think y'all too passionate about people having their choice to withhold their vote. I don't think there's anything wrong with people saying, hey, neither people are worthy of my vote, and I'm also not going to go ahead and play y'all game. I think there's power in that statement, and if more people said it, then we would actually see some real change instead of this shit that everyone just wants to be a part of an election.
Well, can I ask a question? And then I do have to probably leave, because I get your point and I get Grandpa Rick's point, but are we at the place in our political system to do that and to say that? I get it. I understand. Why should we have to vote for bad versus worse? Or why do if I don't agree, why? I get all of those things, but we also have to be mindful that our voices and the way that they project certain narratives, whether it's founded on actual research or not, we have to understand sometimes timing and what the efforts are to do the opposite. So for example, what you're saying, I understand your point. And I also feel like I don't understand why it's seeming that if I'm supportive of the presidential elections, then that means that I'm non-supportive locally, because I am very much so. I'm not saying you are. I'm just making sure, because some of the things that are being said are the more of our effort should be to the local election. I couldn't agree more with that. That's where we definitely need to be knowing and understanding what is happening in the local government, because that's where the least amount of voting occurs. I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I also feel like that does not remove the responsibility for at least understanding where we are from a presidential election space. And all I'm saying, as Black people, I get it. But I also feel like this is just something we're going to have to agree to disagree on, because you're not going to sway me and we're not going to sway you. I just feel like at the end of the day, the rhetoric or even the judgment on either side has to stop. And I think we can have conversations, but also I'm more so a person that if we are in a burning building and you just want to keep calling out that it's burning and not bring no water, then why are you talking?
Yeah, but you know what the funny part is?
Let us burn, let us die.
Continuing to vote is adding fuel to the fire.
And that's the point. That's the point we're talking to.
But then what's the alternative? And a lot of times there is no alternative, because we are in this system. We are in the United States of America. We already understand that this, I can't even
So if
fully
so,
articulate.
So wait,
if
hold
there's
You
on,
were
one
hold
just
on.
thing,
apathetic
wait.
to Joe Biden, and nobody's
So
talking like this.
Jonay, if your choice,
hold
go
on a
ahead.
second,
Go ahead.
because I'm not going to talk to you and Grandpa Rick. So what I am saying is this: there is one side of the fence that when we're up here talking and you were speaking, all we were talking is about, to me, my perspective was you saying that this was you saying something about Kamala that wasn't fully backed up in facts. Now, my other question is if you're not voting, what does that look like? Because in my opinion, a non-vote is a vote for the other side, whatever side you feel like you're on. That's what my belief is. So at the end of the day, if that is my belief, do you think that it is in anybody else's better judgment to have an opportunity where you're up here telling people that are thinking they are actively doing something that's going to better the society, saying that they are disappointing, and that as Black people, and we're how do we get further by that?
I think the point of this
Because
is
actually we're doing something.
I think
whether it's good or bad,
no. See, that's the point. I think y'all feel like y'all doing something, which y'all can, and I'm willing to be right or wrong. I feel my approach and my thought process works right for me. That's all I'm saying. The problem that I'm having is that everyone's having a problem with everyone thinking and moving how they want as individuals. But I'm not at no point am I saying to people up here, don't vote. I think I actually reiterated, go do what you think is best suited for you, because I don't have all the answers. I'm far from having any real answers, but I do believe something. So if that's what I believe, that I should be able to exercise it the way that I feel I should exercise it, the same way how y'all should. That's democracy. So then when we get to this point, when people speak against, we're just up at the end of the day, we're all speaking politics. For the most part, most of us really have no real fucking clue what's going on behind the door. We're all assuming. We're doing
Speak for yourself.
We're doing the education that we can do, but no one is sitting in these rooms to know exactly what's being said and what's being planned. So please, let's cut it out with the whole, like we're all political scientists. Stop it. We don't know what the fuck.
But you don't have to be political scientists to educate yourself. That's not. But if you're saying we're not in the room, then you're correct.
And that's all I'm speaking to. All we have left here is our assumptions, our education, and our choices. I've done my assumptions. I've done the education I've done, and I'm now left with the decision. Do I want to be a part of this game? Because I view it as a game, not saying that y'all do, and not saying that you have to. But me, I view it as a game, and I am choosing this election to not play the game. I voted before. I will vote again when I feel like there's a chance that I'm not a part of a game this year. But this year is a game. And that's just it. And my choice should be respected because it's my right to voice it or withhold it. That's it. Why is there a debate about that? I'm not.
Yeah, I think neither side should be policing the other's decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. The same way how I would never come on here and say, yo, y'all dumb or
Nah,
y'all
we
wrong.
policing it
I
because
guess
we
my
need y'all to
question
be
for
down
like
with the
Grandpa
movement.
Ray, because I'm all for like you're saying with the reform and things like that. But obviously that is something that takes time. Like I don't even think it would take one election, 2 elections. Like it's gonna take a lot of elections to implement something that you're talking about, I believe, and to actually see it come to fruition. Because
because it's actually going on. They've already reformed their electoral process. I just don't want you to lead with something that's not true. But
if it's not, well, I was going to ask your question ultimately again because you're saying it's happening, it's this and that. Then why aren't we seeing it or seeing the results of it if it's happening? Obviously, it's not happening
at the local level, like I said.
And we're talking about the federal level, no, the presidency level, right? Because we've already established the local level, did we not?
So back to what I was trying to say, because I think you have a coherent question to ask me, but you haven't asked it.
All
so
I
I'm
was
going
going to ask you pretty much, because I really don't give a shit about all the other shit. We've established that what we do on the local level. We've been talking about the presidency for the most part this entire conversation. So anyways, what I'm saying is, what does that change, or how can anything be helped, so to speak, with this current election? Or do you think that this one is just kind of like a wash and things maybe need to be implemented or try to be more exercised in the next one? Or like how soon, or in a sense?
The Electoral College is not going anywhere before the election. And so that's the answer to your question. It's not going to change before the election. So the electors are still going to decide the president in this election.
So
That's
your
the answer to your
standpoint
question.
is either we get the Electoral College out, and until then, I'm not participating. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It should be the correct summary of my stance is that we should put all of our energy into reform because they're doing it at the local levels. And if instead of arguing about which bad or evil we're going to pick, we all put our energy into getting that changed at the local level, where we can change how we actually vote, for the president, and maybe even eradicate the Electoral College. That can be done within one election cycle if we put our energy towards it. But that's not where our energy is going. It's going towards, I hate Trump, I hate Biden, I hate this side or that side. They got us so wrapped up on the hamster wheel that we won't step off for 2 seconds and decide, okay, how can the fuck can we dismantle the hamster wheel? That's what I'm saying. The energy needs to go towards dismantling the hamster wheel. If they can keep us on the hamster wheel running, then the machine keeps running. Does that make sense?
I got you now.
And I'm not saying that if you're there, it doesn't make sense for you. If you want to check the box, check the fucking box. I'm not telling you not to check it. I'm saying that the Electoral College is the one who chooses the president. That's not going to change whether or not. My main frustration is how I've seen this we've invigorated the Democratic campaign since overnight since he resigned yesterday. And the apathy needs to maintain the same because we're getting more of the same. They just changed the face. That's where my frustration is coming from. So if you didn't care to talk about this prior to Biden stepping down, and you didn't care to invigorate around the Democrats, and you weren't going to start campaigning, and you weren't donating $500 when Biden was the candidate, and Trump was always his opponent, why now, since Kamala is now the potential nominee, now everybody wants to invigorate. If it's not just simply because they changed the face.
Okay, can I also reiterate that I'm a registered voter in California, and it's typically a blue state. So me withholding my vote isn't really going to change anything.
Okay.
Okay, I muted all of y'all because your voices are annoying, one. But two, I would like to hear from, I brought up a guy in a suit solely because he has a suit on. I feel like he should be able to add to this conversation. That's profiling, I know. But please share the stage with man in a suit. Please go ahead, man in suit. Man in suit, don't ruin my intro, please.
He got a name, nigga.
That's exactly what you get. Anyway.
Is he talking?
No, he's not.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
I hear you now.
All right, cool. So just a couple things, right? So
hello, first.
Oh, my fault. Hello.
All right, there you go.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Hope everybody's feeling wonderful.
There we go, getting your back.
All right. So number one, just in terms of, I think it's probably about 3 points. So in terms of the Electoral College, the way it works, and I'm not sure if it was covered before, is that it is based on our voting.
No, it's not.
Whoever wins
Let
the state.
him land, Grandpa Rick, please.
But we just gonna let him lie?
Let him land, even if he's lying.
It is a lie.
Grandpa
It's a difference between it being not enforced.
All right, listen. Grandpa Rick, I know you do an aggressive political room, so you are ready to get busy. You have to let people talk, even if you think they are lying. I actually like to hear from liars, but let's just hear everybody out and speak like adults and take turns. And please stop making me jump in. I don't want to jump in none of this shit y'all talking about. So I'm unmuting. Man in suit, please.
Yo, it's Mo. I didn't think that was going to be that controversial, but so it's based on voting in the state. If you win the state, then you get the electors for that state. That just look it up. Trust me, that's not that controversial. Then number two, in terms of like withholding the vote, and going for reform, I'm all for reform. I believe that these things take a number of years, a lot of time, and in the meantime, things are going on. So, like right now, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of the Supreme Court and what's been going on with them, but they've made some rulings that people never thought that we see. Roe versus Wade has been around for years and years and years and protected abortion nationwide. like that's out the window because of the 6-3 Supreme Court. That happened because of Donald Trump putting his 2 justices onto the Supreme Court. These people have lifetime appointments that lasts for like 30 to 40 years until they kick the bucket, essentially, right? So what's going to happen if Trump gets in? He's going to replace Clarence Thomas and the other old dude with two more young justices chosen by the there's these very right-wing operatives called the Federalist Society. Look them up. They put together, they always put together a list of judges, and they're going to make sure that they keep doing stuff like this for the next 30 to 40 years. So it's not even, you could think that you're going to sit this election out and it's just about this election. It's not. Like that's a fact. And they're telling you that they're going to do, they're telling you these things. They're telling you about Project 2025. They're telling you that they want to get rid of the Department of Education. I have 2 children. Like, I think that these are important issues, and you don't want to just like leave all this stuff. Okay, you don't want to leave all this stuff to chance. So I agree with, like, yes, let's work on reform, but let's not just do that at the 11th hour, right when the election is about to happen, and let's not just turn things over to people who. Okay, you can say like the Democrats are not, I don't think that they're the be all and end all, right? But like, let's say I don't like turkey and somebody's offering me a turkey sandwich and somebody else is offering me a shit sandwich with glass, right? The turkey sandwich sounds a little bit better to me. I understand you don't want to go for like just the lesser of 2 evils, but end of the day, it's like you do get 2 choices. Whether you choose or not is gonna happen. So for me, that's how I'm looking at it. And being that these decisions, being that these decisions are going to have long-lasting impacts, and that's the one thing I got to give to the Republicans is that they will plan for the long term and stick with their plan and not get swayed by, oh, I like this person, I like that person. People didn't like Trump on the Republican side. They knew that he was going to put in their judges. And they said, okay, we're lit for 40 years, and they stuck with that. So, that's all I got for now. I hope peace and blessings. My wife is like, "Why are you shouting?"
No, don't go because I have a question for you.
I'm with you.
So you said that if we vote for so one, did you hear me say that people should vote at the local level? Did you hear that part?
For sure, I believe that as well.
Okay, great. So then the follow-up question to you said that if we vote for a certain party in the state, then we get the electors. That's what you said,
so
correct?
If you're voting for the president, right? They put the map up of the electors. It's based on who got the most votes in the state. The electors can't just freelance and choose whoever they want.
Yes, they can. No. And that's what we just discussed. No. Micah put it in the jumbo.
So
that 29 states legally require their electors vote with the popular vote, and then I brought up the faithless electors, which are the people who vote against their own party. Have you ever heard of a faithless elector?
They tried to pull that scheme in the last election, and it was
That's
stopped.
not a scheme. That actually happened in 2016. That's how Hillary Clinton lost.
Were you counting the ballots?
We know that it was right there on the screen the entire
time.
You got to show that to
me.
Question
though, but I don't want to cut because this is.
My apologies. You go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, I'm trying to even understand what you're saying. So you're saying the voting is based on the Electoral College, which we are all in agreement with. What you're saying is the Electoral College, which, if anyone doesn't know, that is the number of points assigned to certain states based off of the Senate and House of Representatives that are coming from that state. So certain states have more
points,
whatever. But there are certain.
No, we gotta make sure you. The electors are actual people.
I understand, Grandpa. Please, just let me say it, and you can correct because I'm about to leave anyway. What I'm saying is that, so for example, California has more electoral votes than Massachusetts, and Texas has a certain number. We know the map, right? I'm trying to understand from your perspective, which is where everybody is maybe not fully understanding. Most people believe that when the presidential election is occurring, if you are in a state with a certain amount of electoral college votes, that whether which is why there's a lot of voter issues in certain states, that we believe that the people that are voting in certain states, especially in the metro areas, When those votes are tallied and that state gets, well, whomever the party gets most votes in that state, and that state then turns blue or red, you're saying that has nothing to do with the people that are voting in that state. You're saying that's solely what? Help educate, because I think that's where maybe the issue is happening.
So you're going to see, and you'll be able to see it on election night, but there are two separate votes going on during any presidential election, and you can see it at the bottom. It will say the popular vote, which will be, you'll see millions of votes, and then you'll see the bottom vote, which is the electors. Electors are people. So it's not based on a point system, and it doesn't automatically go by where the people vote in that state. The governor of the state appoints electors, okay? And usually they do appoint them from their party, right? So to his point about that, yes, the governor usually chooses people from their own party to vote. But as Imani and I pointed out to you already, in 2016 and in the 2000 elections, the people voted against their own party. The electors did, which is why we lost the election.
Well, I asked for that. Just please find a credible article for that and show.
Yes, please.
A credible article for what? What are you asking?
Stop yelling at us, Rick.
All I'm asking, you said that the electors voted against what was selected in their state, right? I don't believe that to be true, but I'm willing to be wrong. So I just want to see, if that happened, I'll say you're right. I just want to see it. And it ought to be pretty easy to find, right?
Well, don't say that, because then she's gonna say why you ain't finding.
Can I
No, I want the people
Mo, can I ask you a question?
But hold on a second. But the reason why that's interesting, because she brings Imani, and Imani just used the example of the Al Gore Bush example of Florida flipping because of voters. So I'm trying to understand, like, what I get it. I understand this is going to be something we all just going to agree to disagree with. I respect everybody's opinions and everybody's perspectives.
For sure.
I'm not here to argue it anymore. I do think it's great to educate ourselves, and I appreciate everybody bringing at least what they believe. I'm just very nervous with the rhetoric. I just pray that we are not spewing rhetoric, and that we do our research when talking this stuff. That's all I'm saying. And I can be wrong in anything.
Can I ask you guys a question, Mo and Joe and Janae? I mean, anybody at this point.
Yeah, of course.
Is it fair to say, because I don't believe in picking between Bloods and Crips at this point. I think they're both the same gang. They just have different tactics to what they get done for what they want to get done.
Yeah, rebrand.
Yeah, that's you. Is it fair to say that both parties have negatively affected the country?
So I think that there are positive and negative effects, but you got to speak specifics when you talk about that, right? So specifically, I would look at the reproductive rights issue. I think that's a huge deal. There are people in a lot of southern states right now that don't have access to abortions, specifically because of what I'm talking about. The Supreme Court went 6-3. They tried to lock in that 6-3 for 40 more years, right? Right now, they locked in at the 6-3, but they're trying to make it even stronger. So I think that, there are people that have to travel like 4 states to do it. If they don't have the money, it's not going to happen. There are people that have died because of this. There are people that have gotten raped, and they're saying they gotta deliver the baby because there's no exceptions, right?
But see, this is the problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the problem.
Yeah. My bad.
I asked a question about both parties, and then you solely went it's very clear that you're. Hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah. So
let me finish.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
Absolutely, but
Mo, let me finish. Let me finish.
All right, my fault.
You've made it very clear to this point that you are a Democrat, right? I can assume that, right?
So, in terms of how I'm voting the president, of course, yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Right? That's my.
And as someone,
it's in the jumbo.
And as someone,
hold on. It's not
y'all not letting me, sir. You asked Grandpa Rick to let you finish.
Yeah, let him finish.
As someone who's sitting here, that is a pause. As someone who's sitting here, and I don't want to get arrogant. I don't want us to do this arrogant back and forth, because really, at the end of the day, none of us really know. We think we know, but we don't know.
Don't know what?
Speak for yourself.
Cool. All of that shit is. Just let me speak for me. That's my statement. I can either be right or wrong. I don't want to go ahead and play Bloods and Crips, and I don't want to talk to Crip members and try to convince me to become a Crip. And every time y'all talk, that's all it sounds like. I don't have a bias to either side. Everything that I'm saying is this country is ran, no matter who's in presidency, against the country. It's not really for us. You could sit here and tell me, you can sit here and you can push the agenda that Democrats are for the people more than Republicans, and that sounds like that's what you're doing. And I disagree. I think both parties are pieces of shit, and I think they don't have our best interests at thought. And that's what I'm saying. So I don't want, you know what it's like? It's like hearing the pastor keep trying to convince me to come to his church. I don't want to come to your church.
Right.
Like I just don't fuck with your religion. I don't fuck with it. Like I get tired of hearing y'all do that to people who are making it very clear that we just don't believe what you believe. And that should just be okay. The arrogancy of saying we're speaking, and Jonah, I'm not taking no shots because you know you're my boo, but just saying rhetoric and stuff like that, I just don't like that. Just let us believe
because
it.
that rhetoric is somewhat
I don't
contradictory.
understand how it is rhetoric, and I
Well, no, I'm saying it because Jonah said that. Yeah.
I respect.
Yeah, Jonah said that,
It's
Monty.
I know. That's why I said.
That's
That's
why.
why I said, Jonah, you my boo, so it's no shot.
And I think it's because while you might have a
But
total
then you said a
grasp,
shot.
you have a total grasp on like
Yo,
what
shut
you're
up.
thinking and what you're like articulating. But for someone who doesn't really know or can be easily swayed, or just the people that are just kind of there's a huge group that can be easily influenced, so to speak. So when they come across and hear you say certain things, they translate it different, they intake it differently, and may have different results outside of what you may imagine, because in your mind you think it's just me and my thoughts and my this and my that. But once you now start, I don't want to say spewing it, but once you start kind of passing that around, those people that aren't doing their due diligence or are just easily influenced, or can pick that up and start.
But Feast, that's what we're all doing. That's what we're all doing here. That's my point. We're all
No,
spewing
because
what
no
we
one's
believe.
influencing you to not do something else than what you already believe.
No, you're absolutely right. But all I'm speaking is to what I believe, just like how you are, just like how Mo
You
is.
just said
like
what
how
was the
Rick.
problem with sometimes with you saying what you believe in certain things like that. What I'm saying in response to that is how it can easily influence someone else, although you have a clear sound and mind of what you're saying and what you think.
And the same can be said for when Jonay, Mo, or anyone else comes up here and speaks to what they believe works best for this country. So if it's me going ahead and maybe possibly convincing someone to go a certain way, then y'all could be doing the same. And just because y'all believe what y'all think to be right, don't mean that it's going to work for the next person. If I believe that withholding a vote and fighting for reform, or just educating yourself better on how this country runs before
You
you
didn't say
walk
anything
into a
about
bat,
reform until Grandpa Rick mentioned it. Oh, by the way, this entire time.
I 100% spoke to me not choosing to vote in this process because I think it's a game. And anytime you're playing the game, or anytime this country has tried to revolt, there needs to be some level of change. Whether you want to call it reform, anything, that's just a fact. So what are we talking about?
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I want to jump in really quick. I'm the worst political mediator in the world, by the way. And I'm really liking our I'm liking our in coverage of this. I do.
Was that nigga news or something?
Nigga News Network.
Okay,
not
bet.
CNN. It's NNN. NNN Plus.
Because we don't get to have them, and there's not someone that really speaks from,
No,
the
but this is
real
good.
point of view, like how we can't hear.
This is good. Listen, so I would like, and I do agree with a lot of Imani said about trying to just coerce people and convince people to do X, Y, Z. Like, voting should be like a very private. It's an intimate thing. It causes a lot of this. But I would like you to speak to Mo's point about this being the most important election in our lifetime due to those seats.
Before we get there, she did ask me to go find something, and I found it.
Well, yeah. So, Mo, she did find it. I think she said she put it in the jumbo.
And I want to explain it because he's going to eat what he just said.
But wait, can I just say this?
But that's the thing. Hold on a second. But that's the thing. Like, Grandpa, I think if you're in a position to try to educate us, especially if we see it from a different, why does it have to be he's gonna eat his words? No one's arguing
because he called me a
No, he
liar,
did
and I
not.
don't like
He
that.
just said it.
I
You
didn't do
just
that. I didn't do
misinformed,
He
that.
not a
didn't say
liar.
He
that.
said
He
he
was
was
talking
even
about
be
the.
willing to
He
be
said
proved
But this is
wrong.
the
Like you,
misinformed party. So
Listen, I can just hit the mute button. So why would you interrupt me? And then you interrupt me to do that fucking Thanksgiving chaos shit that y'all just did. Like, let me just get my shit off. E, back to you. I would like you to respond to his point about this being Grandpa Rick. You can go after me. It's okay. You get up for these shits. This is not my bag, so I'm stepping out of this. But you boy, y'all got to hear her in her rooms. E, I would like you to respond to his point about this being the most important election in our lifetimes. One, and two, that reproductive rights issue does seem to be a big one. Not that I've ever been affected by it, but so when you say, hey, we believe what we believe and y'all believe what y'all believe, I've known you a long time. I know that you down with us on the reproductive rights issue. So can you respond to those 2 points? I unmuted the thing.
Yeah. So first, I've heard that be said a few other elections as well. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, and it's very possible that this could be the very election that has the most effect. I'm not saying that I don't think that's true. I just know that I've heard them say that before. And when I say them, just the government or just politicians.
That has been said before.
Yes.
A bunch of times. You're
A
absolutely right.
bunch
But
of
I
times.
think people are viewing this one different because of the seats.
Cool. I get that. That is something that I'm not even going to pretend to have any clue on. So it could be very true. What I'm saying is, no matter who gets in those seats, I don't believe they have the country's best interest at heart. I don't, in this runaround, I don't believe that. So that doesn't matter to me at this point. It should matter, but it don't matter because I don't feel like we have enough control at this point anyway. It's Trump is, damn, I don't want to say this because I'm going to sound fuck. I don't fuck with Trump. Let me preface it. I do not fuck with Trump. I would never vote for Trump. And I'm not a Republican. I'm not an anything. But he's won.
Going viral right now.
He's
Actually, I'm muting this. I'm muting this because that's my nigga. I'm buying him 3 more seconds to make sure he want to say whatever he's saying. Yep, nope. Delay in the game.
No, nigga, I'm not saying nothing.
All right.
I just wanted to preface it with nigga, stop muting me.
I'm not muting anything.
Oh, it kept muting. All right, I wanted to preface with, well, I do not fuck with Trump. I feel like he's won the election already. That's how I feel. It might bother people to hear that, but that is what I believe. I believe some of the bullshit that's already happened. I believe the assassination attempt. I believe the fact that the Democrats don't have a real viable candidate to oppose him. It has already won him the election. Like, we're right around the corner. November's right there. That's what I believe. So at this point, and also as a registered California voter, I kind of already know where that state is going to go. So for me, I feel comfortable sitting my vote out this year. I don't see what's the problem with me voicing that. And I don't see what's the problem with also saying to people, you don't have to do things the way that I do it. We all don't know the right way how to go about this shit. And instead of pumping blue and red to people, let's just try to remove our bias from a party just because one starts with a D and the other one starts with an R. Like, that's just how I feel.
Can I respond to?
Before you do that, because I do have to go.
Yeah,
I'm
you
about
go
to
ahead,
leave. So I get that, Imani, and even with Grandpa Rick's point, I know she may have left, but generally speaking, I don't think what either of you are saying doesn't have levels of merit to it, especially Grandpa Rick highlighting the Electoral College. I do think, of course, there's ways for us to figure out a way to navigate and all of us educate ourselves more. But what I do think ends up happening with certain conversations, and this is just where I stand, it really isn't Democrat or Republican. I'm not even talking that. For me, I think we underestimate the power of groupthink, especially in the type of society we live in now. And for me, I think you guys are thinking, and generally speaking, oh, if you're speaking this way, you're probably a part of this groupthink. And I think we don't give everybody the opportunity to share. Well, no, I'm not just repeating what I've been told. I've actually done my own research and believe it, and also vice versa. So, for example, whatever you're saying, I wasn't specifically saying you, but I do think sometimes things that we do pick up along the way is more a part of narratives and rhetoric than actually maybe even updated information. But I also feel like sometimes I don't think we even understand. There's certain people, that hear you say that, and because they refuse to do their own due diligence, they're just going to side with what you're saying because that's the easiest thing to do. Because no disrespect, even though we know Grandpa Rick get up here and get on her shit, and it's at least she has a stance, right? She's a tough cookie, but she has a stance, right? But a lot of people don't even have the wherewithal to even figure out anything. No one wants to read anymore. People don't want to research. No one wants to Google. No one wants to do none of that. So we also have to be mindful that there is a segment of our population that are just lazy and they want someone to speak for them. And if you say something that is aligned with what they're trying to do, that's where I feel it gets into dangerous territory. And so I get your point, I'm not going to argue it because, like you said, we're all entitled. But I do feel like we have to remember that that is a part of the conversation when we're having public discussions on a platform like this, is that there are just certain people that are not going to do the due diligence that you're looking for them to do. They're going to hear you say it, run with it, and now they feel they're supported because now they are of the groupthink mentality.
And Jonay, I agree. And I also think there's a side of it where they're lazy people who just go to the polls and just vote based off of blue and red. And instead of just allowing people to continue with that thought process, I would much rather speak to a bigger issue at hand, which is the power of withholding something so that you can actually get to the root of the problem. And everyone's saying, well, yeah, that could happen, but when do we start? You start now. Like, what are you going to keep waiting? You're going to just keep talking about it and making it an idea that keeps getting passed on every
and do all that too, though. But I'm not going to not vote at the same time. I'm going to still vote, but I'm going to get to the reform and all that right now too. But I'm
you know what my thing?
Because a lot of...
Hold up, I'm muting again because that seems to be the only time I can get a word in edgewise. If you're new here, welcome. I ain't mad at your independence, but I gotta say, on just like a real surface level, I'm mad at you taking a bold stance against all the propaganda from the left while spewing some of the propaganda from the right. My untrained ear is hearing that part.
What did you hear me speak against the left?
No. I didn't say. Well, no.
That's
when
what
people make points, you say that's some of the propaganda from the left that they're spewing. It's part of the yada 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 yada. Right. But you do that all while saying, just on a bare minimum, what did you just say? You said, and this may even be your belief, but I want to point out that your beliefs sound like they align with some of the right-wing talking points. You said, I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to beat this man. There's one person that's pumping that, and it's the same person that pumped it during the last election, which turned out to be false. Even if you believe that, people out there may be hopeful that Kamala has a shot to do something here. That's one.
And let me
your views on the assassination and what it did and does, to me, sounds like everything that the right has pumped also. Like, just in a few of your talking points, I've heard this stuff from the Sean Hannity world.
No, you've heard you.
Is that dude's name? Am I fucking his name up?
No. His name is straight. No, you say it right. But Joe, you're hearing me, because the one thing I said is I have no bias, but I'm having to speak to try to move some level of other thinking, because most of the people in here talking are speaking to a left agenda. So naturally, I'm going to have to go ahead and start questioning that. Now, if I was in a room where everyone was pro-Trump, I would then be asking them on the other side.
Okay.
Like, that's I think that's a fair balance to. I don't want to be in a room that sounds like we're trying to promote a party. The same way how I said to Mark Lamont Hill, it seems like you're coming up here to promote the party instead of just really having genuine talking points. Like, that's it.
It might be a black thing.
I got it. We got hands raised up here. I want to try my best to get to some of them. Lena?
Yeah, I'll be really quick here. Let me just say, everybody's opinions are valid, first and foremost. I don't need to confirm that, but everybody's opinion is valid. But one thing that everybody needs to understand, optimism is lacking heavily, very, very heavily. And if you have this mentality of no matter what you do, nothing is going to work, no matter voting, you have to make a choice. Not making a choice is still a choice at the end of the day. Point blank in the period. And let me just say, if you don't know the job description of the president, you need to research it. You really, really do need to research it. You really do. Because if you do not know the role of the president, it is very hard for you to say what he can do, what he can't do, what Kamala's going to do, what she can't do. People have saw Trump do the wrong thing so much that they don't even know what the right thing is. Please do your research. Please do your research, because all I'm hearing from this panel, for the most part, not everybody, is I'm hearing the lack of optimism. I'm hearing that you're giving up, that you're quitting, that you feel like you don't have a voice, and you do. You do. Yes, there's hundreds and thousands of us, but your opinion does still matter. Do you guys not think so?
Who did you hear say that? I didn't hear anybody say that they're giving up or that they don't believe. Like, who did you hear say that? That's making you say what you said.
A person saying that they're not going to vote, specifically Imani, that's you saying that you're giving up. You're giving up.
I think he then pivoted to say that he wants us to reform.
That's me making a choice. No, that's not me giving up. That's me making a choice. Even not withholding my vote is still a choice.
That's what she gets for trying to bring some positivity to the room. All right, we had another hand. T Rankin, Grandpa Rick, I'm getting to you last just because you like the King Corso and you're like the Rottweiler of the T Rankin, please. And then we'll have Mo, and then who knows? Then maybe Rick again. All right.
Thank you, Joe. I hope people can hear me because I don't think I could hear the last speaker. But anyway, I would just like to add an addendum to Grandpa Rick's post. The last elections were not affected by faithless electors. That's not true. That's not
I never
true at all.
argued that they were.
In fact, there were only 10 faithless or deviant votes. And of those deviant votes, most of them were Democratic, right? And they definitely did not affect the last elections. In fact,
Grandpa Rick, please let her land, please.
In fact, the last time we had you guys had over 10 deviant votes. Usually it's 1, 2, 3. The last time was in 1872, in the Grant versus Greeley election where you had 63 deviant votes. But the last elections were definitely not affected by deviant votes. These are the facts available to all to go and look at and to read. And most of the deviant electors were Democrats, voting for Bernie Sanders, voting for whoever else they wanted, Joe Stein or whoever else. Like, it didn't affect the outcome last time. The electoral votes definitely overall affected because Trump did better in states that cumulatively had more electoral college votes than Hillary Clinton. Whilst Hillary Clinton won the popular votes, she did not win the ECV because he won more states with larger ECV numbers than she did. But it was not as a result of deviant electors. Deviant electors only comprised 10, like I said, and most of them, in fact, 8 to 2.
Nobody ever said that.
Democrats
Joe, you gotta let me go because they're up here arguing points nobody ever made.
I would just like to bring that up because I think
you
said that it affected the outcome.
2016 election.
No, what I said was,
yes, she did. She did say
Don't
that.
edit the spaces, Joe. Don't edit the spaces.
Talking about whether or not they were required to vote with their party or not. I said that they were.
In the last
he
elections,
did not.
You guys, come on. We can do it. We can do it. We'll never be able to buck the system if we can't just let niggas talk. Rick, I promise I will go to you straight after T Rankin. I will let you skip the line. You'll cut Mo in the line because women privilege. All right? Just let her land, please. And maybe Feats will cut Mo in the line too because of women privilege. I got to see how I feel in 5 minutes. We'll see what Rick does. T Rankin, please.
Yeah, like I said, I can't hear Rick, so after my submission, I'm going to go back down. Yes, so I don't think, part of my study of American history, I don't think there's ever been an instance where the ECV, where deviant voters overturned the ECV. Whilst in theory, because only 29 states require them to keep faith with the popular votes in those states, in theory, you can have out of 50, you can have 21 states doing their own thing in theory. This has never happened where the ECV overturned the EC votes in general. So whilst we can, and again, I beg all your pardons as a non-American, whilst it can be argued that in theory, this thing can be, in practice, it has never been. It's always been an extreme minority of electors not keeping faith with the decision in their states. So to be honest, again, I beg your pardon as a non-American, I think there's a lot of what can be done in the coming years, especially as the demographics of the country changes. Maybe then it'll be more valuable to relook at the electoral college and how it affects popular votes. Maybe then, and I do think it's a laudable goal because the ECV should always match the popular vote. It's an anomaly where you have the popular votes being secondary to the ECV, but it's a long-term goal, right? And in the question that I asked Rick earlier that she didn't provide an answer for, what right now will be the alternative where you have presidents choosing Supreme Court justices that affect all the tenets of American lives, every single in all the ways, especially as women, where the issue of women's reproductive rights is being remade, restructured as you speak right now. States are making it harder for women to make decisions on their own body, even at the point of the failure of their own personal health, right? What would you have people do right now to combat what you see as a problem with the EC and the hypothetical problem that you see with the ECV? I'm going to just drop myself down now. Thank you.
Rick, I'm a man of my word.
I appreciate you. So to quickly answer her question, that's when we talk about reform, we're talking about election reform. That means we would go from plurality voting, which we have now, where you vote one or the other, to being able to vote for multiple candidates. That way, each candidate would be required to run on policy in that party, because each party would be able to run multiple candidates, and we won't be in a position where we're choosing one or the other. I'm more than happy to go into more detail about that, but I'm much more pressed to address the electoral college issue at hand. I never said that the faithless electors are the reason Hillary Clinton lost the vote. I simply said that they are not required to vote with their state. That's when this gentleman with the suit said that he didn't believe that and he wanted me to prove what I was saying. I went and I found evidence to support there were 7 electors in the last election who did not vote with their party. That's it. That's all I had to prove to make my point. I never said that was the reason Hillary Clinton lost. I said the reason Hillary Clinton lost is because the Electoral College did not vote for her. They did not vote for her, and then I proved that as well. If you look in the jumbo, you can see that 306 of the Electoral College voted for Trump, 232 voted for Clinton, and 65,853,625 people voted for Clinton, and Trump only has 62 million votes. That's 60 million? That's us. So you went out as the population and we voted for her. And she won our vote. But you know who decided who was going to be a president? The Electoral College did. That's why we need to reform it. And I keep saying this, and y'all keep either y'all not getting it or y'all not understanding. And I understand they keep you ignorant to this on purpose because they don't want you to repart. But we can't just lie and say that these electors are forced to vote, because only in 29 states is it even illegal for them to vote against it. And there's minimal punishment to it, like I said. The second thing I want to say is that I'm not telling anybody, because I have to go, I'm not telling anybody not to vote. If you want to vote, vote. You're already going to be there. Hopefully you're voting in your local elections anyway. You're already going to be there. So sure, go ahead and vote. You might as well check the box. I'm simply telling you that at the end of the day, the electors, whoever they decide to vote for, is who becomes the president. The end. Also, it's better if you want to take an approach where I'm going to vote. Yes, well, because I do think this is important to say. It's important to say.
Whoa. Who the fuck is Sam? Hey, hold up for a second. Let's not get carried away here, because this is a political space. Tuck your soundboard away. I don't want to hear your fucking gadgets. Dead ass. I brought you niggas up here to be voices, not computers. Please. Rick, continue.
Yeah, this is just the end. This is just the end. I'm totally for you guys keeping your desire to vote. If it makes you feel better, it makes you feel like you're participating in something, go ahead. Especially, I mean, at the presidential level, it doesn't, the Electoral College decide, but the local level, you do still decide those votes. So yes, still please go out and vote at the local level. Just understand what's going on. The other thing is, and this is what most people are not doing, they're not trying to reform the Electoral College because they don't even know what it is. So hopefully after this discussion, people have a better understanding of how the Electoral College works, and we'll just stop regurgitating, oh, get out, vote, vote or die, vote Democrats, vote, because ultimately if the Electoral College decides to vote for Trump again, that's what they're going to do, and you don't have very much power over that at this juncture. The best thing for you to do is to start to advocate for reform where your vote actually will directly decide who is the president. That is all I want to say. Joe, thank you for sharing your platform with me. I'm going to go ahead and go.
No. Don't leave when I bring up new people. I'm trying to find people to bark at you.
I'm at work. I have to work. I have to earn a living under capitalism, Joe.
Jobs. Where are the entrepreneurs? Oh.
Listen.
All right, well, shit, put a headphone in or something. Do something, but just don't go far. Go work.
Let Maya
but
go.
Don't go.
Let Maya
I won't go far. Hit me if you need me.
All right, say less then. God damn it. All right. We got hands raised. And there's people in the request. I'm bringing people up. If you start sounding nuts, I'm removing you. Please respect the space. I never do this political shit. Somehow we organically got here. I thought we were having fun, but fuck it. Let's change the world on a Monday. Lena, then Mo, then Kevin.
Mo is before me. Let Mo go first. Let's see what he has to say.
What a gentlewoman.
Damn, I feel like I got to say ladies first. I don't know.
And he got 2 kids, so enough with all this polite shit. So go ahead, Mo.
All right. So just getting back to Imani, in terms of Democrat and Republican gangs, like I'm not here to, I'm not on a payroll. I'm not like Democrats for life. I have I told you I got these 2 kids. I got my parents who are aging, and the way I'm making decisions is trying to look at what do these people have to offer, what do these people have to offer, what's going to be better for the people who I care about, right? And that's ultimately it. When it came to, I definitely respect it's your right to vote or not vote. That's absolutely true. What I was just trying to bring to the discussion is just making sure that everybody was aware of the long-term implications in terms of things like reproductive rights. In terms of, I would encourage everybody to just at least look up Project 2025, check it out, read what they got going on. I think it's a little bit spooky, and these are like some of the real things that are being put forth. In terms of, Grandpa Rick had brought up, like, I agree with the need for reform for sure. I don't like the Electoral College. I think the popular vote would be much better. So I'm with you on that as well. The way that Donald Trump won the Electoral College was because of the states that he won. So, me, I'm in New York. I grew up in New York. I'm back in New York, and New York is like underrepresented in the Electoral College because of, we have a high population and we don't get as many votes in that. Just because they want to give more love to the states in the Midwest and stuff like that. So that's the way, I think that should be changed, and that's how the Electoral College has impact. But it's not because people just went and freelanced and were like, I'm going to vote for Trump. It was based on the states that he won. I understand, yeah, you're saying that there were 7 elected. So my bad. That was true. That didn't really have an effect, right? So I'm with you that it needs to be changed, but I'm just trying to be clear on like what happened there, right? Yeah, and I guess let me just leave it at that. My thing is like, I want everybody to just be aware of what's happening in terms of the long term, the courts, reproductive rights. It matters to me because of my family. I find that it's just not being discussed that much, and we talk more about like Biden being old and this person did this funny thing. Not saying that that's everybody in this room. That's just what I hear. In my perusals of the internet, like the Republicans would be better for me in terms of stuff like taxes and stuff. But like for me, that's not the beat. You got to look at all your issues and just decide what's going to be best for you and your family. So,
Thank you for that.
much love, much peace. All that.
Thank you for that, Mo. Mo sounds truly frustrated and disgusted.
No. I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I'm cool.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm
I was
chilling
projecting.
there.
Lena?
Yes, so of course I am the positivity. So I just want to remind people that if you don't, I know that people look at, who's the face of the country and so forth, but their team also matters. Okay, so if you're not, let's say for instance, Kamala is going to be the president-elect for Democrats. If you don't like her, same thing with Biden. If you didn't like Biden, look at his team. The things that he has been able to do is because of Congress, things that they have passed to put into law that he has signed off on. Okay, because keep in mind, the president, he's not the end all to be all when it comes to decisions being made. Okay, so I say that because I don't know about y'all, but that student loan debt relief, it benefited my family. And that's something that he did approve. Also, gas prices, they were freaking insane at one point. They did come down, which that was a blessing. The tax credit on health insurances, I unfortunately had to start paying for health insurance. That tax credit definitely benefited me financially, definitely substantially, I'll tell you that much. More internet in households, that's an absolute fact because I have family who lives in the country that did not have access to the internet that was able to get access to the internet under Biden. I don't know if that was because of him specifically signing something into law, but that's something that did take place because, like, while he was in there. So I'm gonna give him that credit for it. Also, Pell Grants. He increased the maximum Pell Grants for undergraduates with school, which I'm sorry, people still want to go to school and they can't afford it. So Pell Grant scholarships, anything in relation to that, it's absolutely a win under whoever is in president at that time that, that supports it and approves for it. What else did they do? Also, marijuana offenses. He pardoned all federal offenses, okay? All. So if you're a marijuana smoker, have family members that are marijuana smokers, that is a win, a huge win. So again, if you don't want to support the face of the presidency, please look at their team. Look at who they have appointed for these different positions because it matters too. If you don't want to vote for the specific president or the elect, whatever, look at their team and who they have that actually does care about us. And there's a lot more people in the democracy that does care than those of you guys that think that they don't. So that's all for me and my positivity.
All right. Thank you for that. We'll have Kevin and then we'll have Hunter.
Appreciate you, Joe. Petroni gang. I got a whole lot to say, but I'm going to try to be really brief. And really, I'm just advocating for people to vote in the election because I think we oversimplify the Republicans and Democrats as equally bad because they both have a lot of negative history. If you're looking at some of the most negative aspects, I tend to look at long-standing trends because if you only have two choices, or you withdraw altogether, then you have no voice. But if you have two choices, you got to make the best choice for you, as was stated. But my guy had mentioned court cases that were important. I look at these major court cases and I say, who was backing this court case and who was against it? One example before this current iteration of the Supreme Court was gutting of the Voting Rights Act. That literally, after it took place, there were states and municipalities who then put rules in that would be illegal just the day before, that limited people's voting, that limited their voice, and specifically disenfranchised Black and brown people, like targeted Black and brown people. And you could look up these court cases yourself to see how many of them popped up right after they gutted one section of the Voting Rights Act. Everybody already mentioned Roe v. Wade, and I specifically warn people because all of these justices have to go before Congress to be approved, and they ask them specific questions about these big cases. They say one thing there and then they do another. Why would they do that? They're obviously wanting to just get in, and then they're going to have an agenda, and that agenda is likely against the majority of citizens, as we saw with this most recent court case with Roe v. Wade. And then the last one that I'll mention is this court case that specifically gave corporations more power. They basically said, well, corporations are people and they can give as much money as they want to political candidates. That means that all of you in this one room have less power as individuals, because you can't go to lobby Congress with $100 billion or give $45 million a month to PACs, right? But they can. They have now unlimited power to influence elections. Those court cases were mostly decided, except the Roe v. Wade, with a more balanced court. It was just slightly more conservative. So imagine how consistently this is going to be the case, depending on who that next president is, who has long-standing power. These are generations of decisions, not just 4 years. I'll just quickly say, the other thing that I look at is, I don't know Donald Trump, I don't know Joe Biden, I don't know Kamala Harris personally. So the people who do know them personally, I'll talk about Donald Trump because I can't stand him. There are dozens of people who know him better than all of us do, who worked for him, who liked him, and who are now saying he's the most dangerous person to vote for. You do not have the same with a lot of these other candidates, regardless of where you are. And I'm talking about both Democrats and Republicans. You don't have dozens of people, dozens, literally like 60, 70 people who liked him and worked for him. I'm talking Secretary of State. I'm talking the Attorney General, who say he is the most dangerous person to reelect. That Project 2025 aside, which is a dark document and will really change the landscape of this country for the negative, because it was some of those people who kept Donald Trump from making bad decisions, like overturning Georgia and other decisions like firing wholesale people in the Justice Department. That document basically says, here's the pathway to do exactly what you want to do and to make a king out of the president. So these most recent decisions from the Supreme Court that have empowered the executive office much more than we've seen in a long time, that's not a good thing. You always want to balance on the Supreme Court, because even though I hate to see slow change, that's actually the better change, because it takes time to build consensus. And lastly, I'll just say, again, voting locally is important, but elections should not be the only time we hold people accountable for how they vote and what they do. You have to stay engaged in the process. When somebody comes locally, your representative, your senator, very few people make their voices heard. It makes a difference when you can see them in person and say, hey, I noticed that you voted against this. Why? You do have access to these people. That's a privileged statement, because I know some people got to work, it's tough, but when they hold those local town halls in their city and in towns, show up, raise your hand, and even if it's just one thing that you care about, voice it, because that's how you hold them accountable. And then basically say, listen, if you're going to go down this path, I'm gonna get my people together and maybe we look at another candidate, because I'm not down with the way that you're moving. So I tend to vote more Democrat, because if you look at their voting record in Congress, they have much more, especially more recently, integrity. And that's my last statement. If you look at Al Franken, Bob Menendez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, these are Democrats that by their own party either ousted them, like Al Franken, or censured them. You don't see the same on the other side. They don't, like, you can do some wild shit in Congress, say some wild shit, and their own party, a lot of the Republicans, won't hold don't hold no weight. They can still lead a committee. They can still participate in processes. It is not the same on the other side. And I can't stand some of the shit Democrats do. I can't stand some of the shit they do. But I've consistently voted for them, because it's not necessarily the lesser of two evils. It's because I stay engaged. I make my voice known. And I'm one person in the smallest state in all of the country. I'm from Rhode Island, Providence. Shout out to Providence. But at the same time, I stay engaged, because I know it does make a difference. I've seen it locally. I haven't seen it nationally, because again, I don't rock with Donald Trump. But it's crazy to just step out of that process and say, I'm just not going to participate. In my opinion, you have to stay engaged. And I do not see these as the same evils. There's a lot of negative shit that happens on both sides, but they are nowhere near the same. And if you looked at voting records largely and trends, you would understand that is true. I appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.
Anytime. Kevin made a lot of great points. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My social battery is dying. You guys have politicked me out. This is you did it. You did it. It was important. It was important. But my
Did you?
Mondays are not typically reserved for fighting the power. Like Tuesdays, Wednesdays even, but Monday, God. So I'm gonna let Hunter go because I said I was gonna let him go. But I am gonna put a cap on NNN. Hunter, please.
Appreciate it, Joe. I'm not even gonna. I can't follow up with as great of a spiel and speech as Kevin. That was amazing. I do share the same sentiments, but I really got on the stage to point out uh the ways of the people, and I have to use Imani as a scapegoat because he spoke the most and he kind of just lends to my point the most. So if you're still in this space, I apologize, but you were vocal. When I got on this space, I heard Imani basically reciting anti-Kamala rhetoric, right? Valid to a degree. She was in the court system. She did what she did years ago. Uh, an hour later, I heard Imani say that he doesn't like when he hears somebody spew Democratic talking points as if they want to sway him. But as you said, Joe, and like you kind of that's your man, that's your friend. So I don't expect you to like shoot at him, but you did kind of say, hey, whenever you kind of speak, you kind of just lend to the Republican side of things. And I see that a lot from people. And I don't know if they understand what they're doing is like more harmful to everybody than just, remaining quiet. Like I understand the notion of wanting to revolt and like that's great. I agree with that too. But at the same stance, if I'm gonna say, hey, Kamala did this, so fuck her, I'm also in the same sentence gonna say, well, Donald Trump is this, so fuck him. Um, but it doesn't really the energy isn't really the same on each side, and I find that to be interesting because these are people that usually say they're not going to vote or they don't fuck with politics in general, but feel enough power to say one side is, whatever. I don't think we should be doing that at all. I think what we're looking at right now is if people are bringing Project 2025 to your table and, reproductive rights to your table, and you can still push that to the side to say, oh, well, I just don't like the fact that Kamala kept black men in jail, even though that was picked apart within 20 minutes. You can still kind of lean on that as something to say like I don't want to vote for either party. I feel like that's lazy and very dangerous. I am somebody that's from Washington D.C. I was out in the protesters. I've been flashbanged and all that shit. Pause. Um, so I know what that pure evil in office looks like and feels like, and I'm not gonna allow myself or anybody, if I have a voice to say, hey, you should probably do some research before you just say, well, Trump won it, Trump got it in the bag. I'm pretty sure Emmanuel felt that way with the last election and he didn't win. So, I mean, like.
You're wrong. I didn't feel that way.
Are you sure?
I don't need to reiterate what I just said.
Okay. So, well, since you're here, can you speak to the leaning in on not liking Kamala, even though like your points were kind of like disproven a little bit, like you still like felt compelled to say you didn't fuck with either side, even though your basis for not really liking Kamala kind of like got, washed away. So like what's the actual like energy? Because I agree with your points of like both sides are, spewing propaganda, but it sounds like the propaganda worked for you and you are now spewing it, but you also are against it. So I'm a little confused at you.
Well, let's be very clear. Up until yesterday, Kamala wasn't even a conversation of this race. So, no, I don't have anything against her, and I don't really know enough about her besides the things that I went to read about myself. So I don't have a personal problem with her, but I do have a personal problem with people forcing me to pick someone just because they think I should just be a part of something. Like, I'm tired of y'all thinking because shit works away for y'all that it has to work away for me. I think sometimes the shit that y'all speak to sounds like y'all spewing rhetoric just as much as y'all think I'm being lazy. And I think sometimes forcing people to just vote surely out of just being a part of a system is lazy. So why not allow me to do the process of learning and making my own decision instead of forcing me to believe that I have to pick something that you think is better suited for me? Like this is my problem with a lot of people that speak like y'all. We are all allowed to think how we think. And I don't try to down talk how y'all think. Why do y'all take such a strong stance on talking down on people that just decide that we don't believe what you believe?
I can answer
I
that.
don't believe in Trump. I don't believe in Biden. I didn't believe in the other presidents before. But at some point, I did vote. I voted for Obama because I thought that was the best suited choice to pick and put my vote towards. This election, I don't believe that's the case. Is that okay for me to say?
Is that
Am I being late?
it's okay for you to say? What the laziness to me comes in when people have a pushback with that's met with facts and there's no actual conversation had after that. It's kind of like nobody. I'm not trying to sway you. What I'm trying to do is get you to kind of understand it. Maybe the things that you've believed or developed over the years might be rooted in like some falsehoods or like some just like maybe you've been led the wrong way.
What you're absolutely right. And I never said that that's not possible. But is it also possible that you have been led the wrong way?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So
why is
when
there
we
so
get
much
to
arrogance?
because
Why when it comes to politics? Hold on. Why when it comes to politics, there's such arrogance to
I can
believe
tell
that
you
because
exactly
what
why. I
we
can give
choose.
you one example as to why. Did you look up Project 2025 since you've been on this
Sir,
stage?
I don't want to, sir. I've heard this argument already. I'm not trying to debunk. I'm not trying to debunk or speak against anything that you believe is what's going to be the case. I'm not doing that no more. I'm just telling you what I believe, and I'm also hearing out what you guys believe and accepting it. But this arrogance, as if you have a better answer than everyone else, is what kills me about politics.
I mean,
That's what kills me about this shit. Allow people to have the freedom to believe what they believe and to speak to it, and that's it. Why does it now have to become a thing of being dangerous or lazy when I think some of the things that you guys believe are dangerous and
what is it
lazy?
that you
But
what
I'm
is
not
it that
trying
you
to speak
believe?
against your political
Oh, you
belief.
absolutely can. I am a proud Democrat. What is it about the Democratic Party that you feel like is dangerous
Sir, I don't believe any
moving forward
party.
right
I don't
now?
believe any party. I don't believe any party that thinks that they have all the answers for a whole country is doing the right thing for us. I think there's things that the Democratic Party say that is right. I think there are things that the Republican Party that has said that is right. I think both parties do bullshit. What's wrong with me just stating that? Why do you want me to join your gang? I don't want to be a part of the Democrats or the Republicans. I
It's
think
not
both
about the
parties
game.
are bullshit.
I think, as somebody pointed out, there's kind of obvious things in place that people with just common sense and face value can look at and be like, that's like really crazy. For example, Project 2025. I feel like anybody with like just common sense and reason and like
Sir,
two ways.
your president as a Democrat put the crime bill in place. That is some bullshit. Why is every part the party both
It is
parties do bullshit.
2024.
Both
So it
parties
is
do bullshit. I'm tired.
2024.
Do not convince me
We're
to come to
talking
your
about
church,
the
sir. I
present
don't want to
day.
come to your church. I don't want to come
Well,
to your church, sir. I would rather sit outside and believe what I believe. Stop
the
trying to
crime
force
bill
me to
thing
believe what
sounds
I want to
like when
believe.
people say Obama was a war
Don't
criminal.
insult my
Like,
choice by calling
obviously he
it
was,
lazy. Don't insult my choice by calling it
but it
lazy
is
because you want to
lazy though.
pander for
It's
a
very
party.
lazy. It's
I can give a fuck
extremely
about a
lazy.
Republican and I can give a fuck about a Democrat. I don't want to be a part of your party and I don't want to spew your agenda. I have my own beliefs
But
and I'm
you don't
allowed to
want to
voice it.
see
I
Republicans
don't
again.
care. I don't care enough about anything that you're going to tell me at this point because you're trying to convince me to believe what I feel is wrong. I don't want to convince you that you're wrong. Don't do the same with me. Let me have my
I think
beliefs
I'm just
and that's
pointing
it.
out that you don't have an issue spewing the Republican side of agendas.
You
But
have
you're so
you've
to
heard me not
me,
you've never heard me say anything about the Republican agenda.
when I jump into the
I've
debates, you are
only
literally
spoken
spewing
if you
Republican
bring a
the
Republican
Republican
in
agenda.
here, who starts to try to market us to them, I would tell them the same thing I'm saying to them.
But
But
they
it's
would. But
so
the difference
funny
is
that when black
they
people
would
talk to
say the
black
same
people,
thing that you're
when
saying.
black people
That's
talk to
the
black
issue,
people,
man. They would say the same thing that you're
Black
saying.
Democrats for sure feel as if you don't align with them, then you're going against either the culture or the people. And no, all I'm saying to you is I don't believe in either party's beliefs. And I would like to be able to make the decisions that I make without being insulted with lazy and all this other shit. Now, if we sit in a room where it's the majority of Republicans spewing whatever they spew, I would say the same shit to them. But stop doing this whole shit because you're left and you're black and I'm black. I have to be the same as you. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a fucking Democrat. I'm not an independent. I'm not anything. I'm Imani Salgado who believes what he believes. And if there's a candidate at some point that I can put my vote behind confidently, I would do so. And I don't need to go ahead and feel like I'm being attacked just for having my own fucking beliefs.
I mean,
What is
so
wrong with that?
I can tell you what's wrong with it. Do you agree that at this point in the
Sir, I don't
election,
want to have the conversation with you no more. I'm good.
there's no space for like people that are undecided? Like there's
No, sir. I think, sir,
Okay.
I think your point is your point and your belief is your beliefs. And I think you're still trying to convince me on something I will never
No,
believe.
I'm not.
So let's
I'm
just
not
move
trying to
forward.
convince you. I'm
Let's
just
move
stating that,
forward
like,
with someone else, sir.
there's no
Sir,
way.
let's.
Oh man. All right. Look at Kevin with his hand up. Kevin trying to get his shit off. Nigga, it's over. All right. Listen, we did it. We did it. We did it. We absolutely 100% did it. But I would like to try to have a vibier Monday than this. Maybe later in the week, I'll continue the good fight of politic talk. And I ain't gonna hold you, politics, niggas make a lot of money during the political season too, like the NFL. Some of y'all just trying to jump into the foray. Some of y'all just trying to see a check real quick. I see y'all niggas too. They like the fucking crypto bank niggas from back in the day. All right. So I'm gonna end this thing. This was fun. This was great. Next time I start a space just for fun, I'm gonna make sure to step on that conversation. I'm stepping on it next time. I hate getting caught in the political talks. Why everybody just can't have their fucking view and talk normal? Everybody gets so heated. It's a thing. It really is. I love you all. Hopefully when the Vibier space starts, the algorithm will not send it to all of you.